Hi, it's Sonia and welcome back to my art YouTube channel. This week I thought I would finish my favourite art material series. I think I'm on to part 4 and the final bit is going to be acrylics and watercolour. So I thought I'd show you the ones I have and then maybe some work and yeah, discuss what I like and maybe even dislike about them. So yeah, let's go. Okay, firstly, before showing my supplies, I thought I would, because a lot of I do use acrylics for canvas at the moment. This is a finished one that I have up in our bedroom, and yeah, I like acrylics because, well, I guess they're easy and immediate to use. For me, they're really good for abstracts. And yeah, I just thought I'd show you. This one is one I'm working on. I guess I like the fact that also you can paint over and over with them on canvases. I assume you can do that with oils, can you? I don't know, I haven't used oils for a long time, since I was about 18 and doing A-levels, to be honest with you. Partly just because, yeah, the solvents but now I'm thinking about maybe trying them again, but I want to kind of use up my acrylics. Anyway, this is I wonder actually if I'd prefer oils for portraits, because they do dry really fast, and maybe I would like the opportunity to have a slower, though you can add slow drying mediums, I know, but I don't tend to do that. I think actually in some ways acrylics have suited me with my current work, because I can just get to them and I don't mind, and I work quickly. Like this one here, okay, this canvas is a super old canvas that I use it kind of, I paint over and over and over it so you can see, and I don't mind this for myself, like all these, I think it adds interest, like, you know, there's another painting underneath. So this was like a loose, like sometimes I work in my sketchbooks, and then from my sketchbooks I might make a painting, or even from memory, like I feel like this is from a national park. I mean, it's very loose, it's a very loose landscape. But in some ways I like that, because I feel if I was to choose a painting for my home, I kind of like it being a bit, I don't know, I don't necessarily, sometimes if I were to, this sounds really bad, but I don't purchase as myself. I've got art swaps or trades with people, but in general I've got so much of my own art that I need to I have up. There isn't much space. But if I were to purchase art, I think, as I've talked about before, like I have a few favourite artists that if I could ever, like Justin Mortimer, and who else? I kind of like, yeah, but I kind of like abstracted landscapes as well. This one here is one that I've been working on, and it's not quite finished, but I guess it shows a lot of my one of my favourite portraits is in the house that I've done with the boys. But this one is sort of a figurative piece, I guess, but where I'm trying to merge in my own sort of abstraction, and there's words under there, but I didn't really want that effect in the end, so I'm starting to cover it up. And I guess I'm still going to work on this. I kind of want it to be sort of like maybe clouds, but different colour clouds. Anyway, so I thought I'd just show you, oh, and then behind here, oh my gosh, can you see there's a painting? This is like a mixed media, but there is acrylic on it. So I just wanted to show, because most of my acrylic work is on canvas. But let's go over to my desk and I'll get out some supplies. Okay, let's start with testing. I'll just show you some watercolors. I'm going to use the back of this. I just found this in my to go over pile. I don't know where I was going with this, but anyway, let's use the back of it, because it's free. This is watercolor paper, 300 GSM. I think it's like a student, you know, like a pretty inexpensive brand. I think I did do a video on, I'm just moving all my stuff out of the way, on watercolor, on papers and sketchbooks. So that's on my sort of playlist. So yeah, I tend to buy, I think, for watercolor, Canson is my go-to because it's relatively inexpensive. Yeah, so let's start with Okay, what the first watercolors I ever had, well, I've always had when I was little, I guess, I don't know if it's the same for other people, but I was sort of introduced to watercolors when I was in childhood. My grandma had a set of watercolors, and yeah, like I spent a lot of time with her. She was really creative and into art too, and she'd sometimes let me use her good set, and she bought me my first set of watercolors. And that's a bit dodgy, this palette. Anyway, so I've always kind of tended to get Winsor and Newton because in Britain they're sort of very readily available at the art shops. And I started off like everyone else with the student, the Cotman ones, which to be honest with you, I'm just going to demonstrate. Where is a brush? I've got loads of clean brushes here. This is even a Winsor and Newton Cotman brush because I like these for. So these are the Cotman, I think is it £48, and this is like this was kind of like my go-to when I first got back into art as well, which I think I've discussed, like in Switzerland when we moved. Yeah, I went to watercolors because also when I had young kids, the great thing about watercolors is that they're easy, especially this pan formation. They're easy to get out, easy to put away in a drawer, you know, relatively, not that one should attempt to eat them, but obviously compared to a lot of things, art materials, non-toxic, even more so now because you can get cadmium free and you don't have to. Yeah, and I think what I'm doing is I'm not really one for, there's an awful lot of swatching videos out there, and I'm sure this set has probably been swatched somewhere. I just want to show like why I like, whoops, is it a bit tilted? Why I like the materials that I have got. I think this is a great set in some ways because you have got a great variety of colours in it. It was, I don't know how much it is now, but it was when I was back in England, relatively inexpensive. It's quite old. They last and last and last. And for my purposes, I'm just trying to show like you can use them sort of kind of, let's go really, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get the dry brushing technique, but I feel like you do. Just showing just a few different colours. As you can see, I am pretty terrible as well. I tend to like dirty them. But I did do quite a few. I did bring a watercolour sketchbook as well to show some work. But yeah, they seem, for my purposes, pretty good. I did them because I guess I was thinking, I got into, let's put this one away, it's a little bit flimsy, this palette. So then I did invest at some point, this is very old as well, into the artist grade or their professional set. So this was a lot more expensive. As you can see though, I have used it. If you can see, it was great. I really got into watercolor portraits at one point, and yeah, so I felt I should use, if I was going to like pass them on or even attempt to sell them, use artist quality paints. So you can see actually I've been using a lot of the red. There's two ochres sort of here, but yeah, I've been using I have used these a lot. I don't know, to be honest. I think it must be, my videos are not at all, I'm not going to be able to tell you the properties or the pigments or the, but I am assuming that these are probably, if they're professional quality, more like fast, more pigmented. I should probably use some of the ones. Yeah, so can you see, just be interesting for my own benefit actually to see if there's much of a difference compared to, sometimes though I don't necessarily, well, actually, let's use another green. Is that a different green? Trying to put the, compare it like that's Cotman. This is the professional artist grade. Ultimately, I think it's obviously up to you. Let me know what are your favourite watercolours. There was some beautiful, I feel like I've got so many different mediums on the go. I do see some, obviously, like Daniel Smith, really exciting watercolours out there. Yeah, this is my go-to, I guess, set if I was to consider doing artwork that maybe I would. I mean, I don't tend to sell finished, as it were, works at the moment because, quite frankly, I'm quite enjoying doing prints because I don't have to worry about shipping and packaging and sales tax as such, because that's all calculated. Like, I just want to keep things relatively simple for myself. But if I were to, and even then, actually, no, I mean, surely people also can, if you're buying a watercolour painting, I assume it's probably you don't want to put it in the sun, or you're not going to. Do people sell student quality watercolours? I don't know. But as I'm not selling my watercolours currently, I'm not worried about that. Okay, on to my next favourite. Okay, if I'm going to say what my favourite, okay, I hope I'm going to have to edit this really heavily, aren't I? This is terrible. My favourite watercolours currently, though, are Japanese watercolours. And I found out about these. So as I say, I've been using watercolours since, like a lot of us, childhood, and I've had my student ones, even the Winsor and Newton ones, which are very good, and I like them. And I will show you, I use them mostly like plein air and landscape sketching nowadays. Probably I should try and I'm using them more in mixed media as well. So I think I will come back and use these. However, if people are interested, my favourite watercolours are Japanese watercolours. And I found out about them. Where is my very old set gone? This is my oldest set of Japanese watercolours. I bought this years ago. And I really have used it quite well. The ones that are filled up, I've talked about before. These I've just trying to use up I've got some tubes of the Cotman watercolours, and I'm just refilling the palettes with those because I want to make use of them and still use this. Really, I don't want to. I'm trying to reuse and recycle where possible, and it seemed a good way of doing it. This Prussian blue's cracked a lot out of interest. So that's, yes, it's a bit confusing. It's not totally Japanese watercolours, but the point is, this set is the set that got me into them. Like, I enjoyed using it so much because of the big palettes. You can use a chunky old brush, really get in there. It's great for the sort of work I do, which is, I want to, like, as you can tell, I'm not heavily into delicate or slowing down and swatching stuff. Or I just sometimes, I've always just wanted to get going and make use of any time that I have, especially, as I said, when the kids were very small and, I was really fitting art into 10 minutes here and there, or even like nap times. But then I got this set of, this is a great, if you have never tried Japanese watercolours before, sometimes is this the Kuretake? I feel like this is the Kuretake Gansai set. These ones, you can get them on offer if you keep an eye out on Amazon or in art shops. And I don't think they're, compared to like the professional watercolours, I don't think these are too expensive if you do get them at a good price. And I do believe I didn't know about light fastness, but at the comments, people in comments are always, there's a wealth of information in the YouTube's comment section by kind people who are, who do know a lot and have experimented and read up on it. And apparently these are quite light fast as well. So that's good to know for anyone thinking about, sticking them up on walls and selling watercolours. And yes, so correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I believe that's the case. This set, this Mozart set, I saw this and it was around $20 a few years ago on Amazon, and I picked it up and I really like this. I think this is a great, if you've never tried Japanese watercolours before, it's a great starter set because it's, you know, it can be a bit big, the palettes. This is a pretty easy to fit in somewhere to even carry around. There's a really nice selection of colours, because with Japanese watercolours, you don't tend to, it doesn't seem like they encourage you to, as with the other watercolour palettes, like have a mixing well. I don't tend to mix them as such. I just tend to use them for a lot of my loose floral still lifes you'll have seen. Like, let me get, I'm now just these Japanese watercolour pages, but for example here, this is Japanese or is it? Oh, I'm going to get confused. But I have used Japanese watercolours in this sketchbook. This is my new one. So I think one of the old ones I did show more. Where else is there Japanese watercolour? Okay, I've managed to pick up a sketchbook where there isn't actually that much Japanese watercolour. Okay, there will be a sketchbook tour of this one coming up, but I just want to show, okay, here we go. This page is completely Japanese watercolour, and I have just, I think it's this set that I'm showing, and I've just, yeah, I just love how the colours, you can just get going with them, and they bloom within each other. You get great they're completely accidental on my part, accidental effects, just pure fun. As you can see, I particularly love this colour. That's like my favourite colour, and I'm getting through it. I also really like the metallics. You know, it's nice when you look back through. I don't know how it will translate in terms of prints and stuff, but it's certainly really pleasant when you're looking through your sketchbook and you see that sort of glint. It's just a nice effect. I'm not going to lie. I have a lot of fun with these, and I think they're pretty inexpensive and they last a long time. So yeah, but saying that, I don't know current prices of these. And so because I like them so much, I did, you know, restock, and I got another, I went a while ago. This is, you can see I'm using it a lot though already. This is my newer set. I think it's only a few years old. But yeah, they're my go-to. I've got to be honest with you. These are the watercolours that I'm using a lot of at the moment. But let me know if any, I don't know if there's any, I don't have the other ones, what was it, Schminke, and yeah, let me know if there's any good recommendations for the future. Should I use up my current supplies, which doesn't seem imminent? Maybe I'll think about trying something else in the future, because I am enjoying watercolours again. Okay, I can't find the one I brought down. I do keep a lot of sketchbooks up in my bedroom shelves. I mean, this is a problem when you do go through sketchbooks, where do you keep them all? But I wanted to show you, and I feel like I've shown this one a lot, but this one does contain, because watercolours are a really handy medium to take out and about with you. This one shows, these are watercolours here, mostly. There's some gouache as well, so it's not totally true. For example, this is one on scene, and this is definitely using a small, I do have a small travel set, which I've shown in my travel supply video, of watercolours, and that's been brilliant, so that's useful. This one is actually mostly gouache. There's sketchbook tools on these. This is like a really old one, but I've got this one out because I'm hoping to do a sketch walk with the drawing group I work for, and I was trying to like get ideas for urban sketching again. But this one here, I think this is watercolour. Pen, yeah, I went pen first, and I just added a little bit of colour with watercolour. But yeah, so those are how I use watercolours. On to acrylics. I've covered all my watercolours. Let's go to now acrylics. So I need a plastic tray for this. I've got quite a few different brands of acrylics. I don't really have brand loyalty as such. I just tend to go for what's on sale or a good affordable range, because I still see myself, I always see myself as a bit of a beginner. I'm an amateur. Like, I want to feel that, because I want to feel that I can experiment and push, like, just play with paint. So, and I don't, yeah, so I have a range of different, and I went for acrylics once I started to be able to have a bit more space to get out canvases. yeah, I just saw online people were using acrylics, and they're quick drying, and so I was like, let's get some of these. So I've got the different brands. I've got, for example, this is a Winsor & Newton Galleria acrylic, which I need a different brush, and I'm going to have to. The only problem with acrylics. So yeah, the one big problem with acrylics is obviously, you know, they are plastics, essentially, plastic and paint. So cleanup is easier compared, I don't know, I haven't used oil paints for a while, but I think that's actually getting easier. But obviously with it's one of the easiest ways actually, if you don't have to worry about your brushes, which is a tip that I've only just recently found. For anybody who likes to use them in, in abstract work and sketchbooks, where is my palette knife? Do you know what? Palette knives or bits of card. Sometimes I have bits of card hanging around is helpful, because like then you don't ruin because they're so quick drying. If you're not careful, and I've ruined a few brushes, I'm not proud of this. You know, you leave your brush out and it's dried and it's like glue. It's ruined. So that's the downside of, in some ways. But you know, recently I've really found you don't have to. I'm trying to remind myself. I used to think, oh, I've got to be painterly and use a brush. But no, you can, especially in abstract work. That's why I'm loving abstract work. You can use twigs, whatever you've got to hand. And then with the like what I do now is, the other thing, obviously, you don't want to, I guess, we shouldn't be, I think golden acrylics do a whole, you can find loads of informative YouTube videos on how to dispose of what to do with the painting water. But what I do is just only use a little bit, and then I stick it in a bucket. I've got a bucket outside, and then it just hopefully, where it does in the sun, like evaporates down, and you're just left with the plastic gunk. So that way I'm not sticking it into the drains. And then with the only thing, of course, with the brushes is, yeah, I mean, I tend to use only old, oh gosh, this has actually had gouache on it, so, but just old brushes, and so this is Galleria, and then I tend to, like, you know, take off the excess and just give them a quick clean in that. But this is my method. But there's part of me that is thinking about, yeah, I mean, are oil paints any worse now than environmental? I mean, it's all pretty, it's just hard, isn't it? Like, you do what you do, as long as you really try to make sure I'm using up my paints. So, oh, sorry, this is heavy body. So there is a massive range of paints out there. In fact, it can be, I feel, recently, you know, potentially a little bit overwhelming in the amount of choice compared to it feels like when I was growing up. I don't think I had acrylics. At school we had, which I've talked about before, those powdery poster paints, and then I did, because my grandma also did oils, so I think I did use oils in a, I don't even want to think about how I used them with the, yeah, probably totally not how you should. So I've not really had formal, does anybody get a formal training unless you actually go to art classes these days? In acrylics or oil paints. I kind of like read up on it in library books back in the day, but nowadays, obviously, if I do have any questions, you can just type into not Google, into YouTube, or how to clear up acrylics, different mixed media effects with acrylics. You get a whole wealth of information out there, which is great. So these are the heavy body ones by Liquitex. This I'll probably make into an abstract afterwards. So yeah, I'm cool. I'm happy with them. I think the problem is, and I haven't done much canvas painting, is they are so quick drying. I almost feel like if I am going to use them, I need to have a few hours or have enough time that I can use them up sufficiently, and that I'm trying to show you some quite cool, you can also do, I'm just sort of more nowadays getting into all the effects, like you can carve into them if they're thick. So I know you can like layer different colours on top of each other, and then you could carve in and then there'd be a colour under there. This is sort of more for abstract work, but even on figurative you know, that piece I've got with the 3 figures, like I could add some of these fun effects into your painting. I mean, they are really, I've got to be honest, they're super versatile. And yeah, like you can also spray. Sometimes I spray when I'm doing portraits or figurative work and I really want to keep them going. You can spray water on them. I know people use stay wet palettes. I don't have a stay wet palette, so I can't comment on that. I could also add slow drying medium. I don't think I have. That's something I could do, but generally I tend to like just use them quickly. I paint quickly for my abstracts and my landscapes and my portraits, and that's worked for me. As I say, I am curious though about oil paints. I really am. I don't know why, is it? And I'm sort of thinking more now. I've seen lots of YouTube videos saying that you can go solvent free or use walnut oil. And there's even water soluble oil paints. Yeah, if anybody's used water soluble oil paints or oil paints, let me know, or knows any good videos to watch, because maybe if I want to use my supplies, I've got acrylics, let's use them up. But then I'm thinking next time, what should I think about investing in? I do love, okay, so my top brand, like basically, oh yeah, and I know a lot of people have been talking about these, and there's a reason, because they're basics, but they're acrylic, and oh, I love the neon colours. And I got these for like, they weren't even $4.99 from Hobby Lobby. They were on offer. I think if I bought, I can't remember, there was a, so you know, say this even was $5 for 4 ounces. This has lasted a long time. And yeah, and I know I did hear though, the problem with neons, isn't it, is they are not, what's the word? Not that light fast or something, but they're so cool. They're great for adding to sketchbooks as well, for a pop of colour, just get a little squeeze out. I will make sure even after this I use all this paint up. I know ways now, whenever I have to squeeze out too much acrylic, I do try and leave myself a few minutes at the end of a session, because then I will go in and use it to cover a sketchbook page. Anybody doing, I'm really getting into altered books. You could also use it on, where's my altered book? I've got a few. I've gone a bit crazy as usual and I've distracted myself, but I've been trying to like experiment with, you know, you could use it to cover up an altered book page, or what I do like to do is use it as a background for a sketchbook, or even just blob it about and make yourself a quick abstract piece that you can work on as you have these little snippets of paint left about, so they're not wasted. I'm really trying hard not to, I'm trying, and I'm not perfect on this, but I have become aware that I put a lot of art materials away, and sometimes I forget about them, and I don't want, yeah, I just want to make sure, you know, like with, I don't know, people are into sports, like making sure you use your sporting, you know, your running shoes only have so long a life, but as long as you, well, love them, and often ways also oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to make sure I put the lid on properly now. This is my favourite brand, like a lot of people's, Golden Acrylics, but they are jolly expensive, probably rightly so, because hopefully they obviously take a lot of care into their product, and I totally get that. So when I can, and to be honest with you, if I decide that, you know, I want to still carry on with acrylics for whatever reason, and I try to, for the canvases that I, you know, like want to think about even selling in the future, I do love the Golden Acrylics. The texture, the feel of them, how they, you know, I've got a lot of paintings up in the house, like, and yeah, I just really think that there's a reason why they are really popular. However, not gonna lie, they might, you know, for people beginning or just wanting to play around in sketchbooks, they are on the pricier side. Yeah, so yeah, Liquid Basics is basically what I've been going for. We can also get, the other thing that I kind of did is for covering, I thought about it more because I am using so much heavy background colour, I even invested, like, they were like some for 50 cents on Amazon, these sort of apple barrel cheap acrylic paints there, but that's more for me to paint over. Let me just have a look in here, like for painting over. Have I got an example of this? Maybe this spread here, like painting over sketchbook pages just to get a flat colour down. Anything else did I want to mention with acrylics? Oh, and the other thing that I like to use a lot of on Forge is gesso. I like to, that's also handy for altered book projects, covering pages. I actually accidentally purchased clear gesso, but that is quite good. I think I showed something where I went over a piece with clear gesso, and then it's like it gives a bit of a tooth. You can then go on top with more medium, so you can like do some layering. A lot of how I work is just experimenting with the materials. Yeah, and just layering. This piece here, for example, I mean, the reason also I do like acrylics, so this is the back of a notepad, and then I covered it in, it looks like, it might have been gouache first. This might have been, yeah, gouache. Then I went over with clear gesso. Then I've gone over with oil pastel. I don't know if you see that, and I kind of like that effect. So that blue on top of the red is oil pastel, and it's like sort of got this weird, and then I've gone on top with acrylic gouache just to make my own little, it was just fun to fiddle around with bits and pieces. I think these do allow for mixed media work. The other thing I'm thinking also in the future is it possible, because I guess watercolor and gouache are in some ways less, I don't know, could you do them on canvas? Could you prepare a canvas and then do watercolor and gouache? Just interesting ideas. Okay, so yeah, did I also share, I feel like, oh, I forgot my other big thing. I'm pretty sure I didn't mention this in the gouache one, but is acrylic gouache. I love this stuff, is one of my new favourite mediums. I've just dropped the camera. I did get some of these are Holbein ones, yeah. These are fantastic. Again, pretty pricey for a small tube. Then I found you could get sets of Turner acryl gouache, and sometimes they're pretty, to be fair, quite reasonable actually. It's worth keeping an eye out. I saw a lot of illustrators back in the day. Let me just show you. We're using them, well, still are, beautifully, you know, in their illustrations. And I was like, oh, I struggled with them. I've got to be honest, when I first got hold of them, I was like, I don't really like these. I prefer gouache because, you know, obviously they've got plastic in them as well. So you have to make sure you're looking after your brushes. Unfortunately, I can see I'm doing over watercolour, so it's getting merged. But they are fantastic. Now I have really feel like I've got into which just shows if you've got some material, don't rush to necessarily give it away too quickly or donate, because you need to sometimes take a break, come back to it, and you also look on YouTube as well to see, you know, how people are using it. And maybe actually the other thing is you don't always have to use it as other people are using it. Experiment in your own style. So one of the things I was like, I saw these beautiful illustrations where they managed to get very flat colours, very like painting it very neatly in the lines. So I'm trying to show, like, you know, the sharp edges. And then I was like, I'm not finding that. I find it easier with gouache. And yeah, so I was like, I don't. But now I've been experimenting, like more, where is it? Let me try and find a page in my sketchbook. Okay, for example, this one here. Wow. This is some acrylic gouache, I believe. I like to add it to mixed media because it's a great final layer. I feel like it goes on top of a lot of stuff. Does this one have any more? It's always the way, isn't it? When I want to show something, I can't find the right sketchbook. But here, in this sort of like, again, a scrappy piece of paper, which I'm layering and layering over the top of, This is a bit of acrylic gouache, and I like just how, yeah, you can put it on top of something. It's not going to be movable. That's, you know, if you put water on it, like if this was gouache or watercolor, I could, and I hadn't like put clear gesso on, you're gonna, when you go on top with water, something, it moves. But this, I can even show you, because this is a bit of a scrappy piece. I just want to show you. Like nothing, like it's, because it's, yeah. So then you could probably go on top of that. I could go on top of that with a crayon probably. But yeah, so I like how it's, and I like the flat, strong colours that you can get. I do use it. Oh, I also like it very much when I'm doing portraits, like portrait painting with kids. I can feel like I'm getting more confident in mixing my skin tones. I don't have that. I actually used it in another piece. Okay, so this is going to be quite a long video, isn't it? So I'm going to stop now. I just really wanted to share with you just some of the acrylics and watercolors that are out there. And yeah, here is my so not swatched sheet, but I just wanted to show you. But I think you can get the idea. Like now I could go over this. It's actually quite fun. I don't know what this will turn into. Good. All right then, I've just made a right mess. I'll say bye for now. Thank you. And I'll be back with another video at some point. Bye.